Welcome to the Sailor Jimmy Podcast, your one-stop shop for raw takes on current events, sports, news, and everything in between. Inspiring people to chase their dreams, share their success stories, and find joy in life. Now, here's your captain at the helm, U.S. Navy veteran, Jimmy Rogers.
All right, we're back for another episode of the Sailor Jimmy Podcast. Today we're going to be talking NFL draft. I got two of my really good friends on the show. I tried to find some friends that love the Texans, but I can only find the only two that are available are my friends that hate the Texans.
So. Wait, people still love the Texans?
Yeah, like who are these other people? Why did you want to completely Texans bias show, bro? Like,
well, see, I didn't want to completely buy a show. That's why I brought you on, because you're a Green Bay Packers fan, and I don't know who the fan.
I'm a fan of my fantasy teams.
Yeah.
Honestly, I try to be a Raiders fan because I spend so much time in Vegas, but they make it harder than the Texans make it.
I feel like you're going to be a fan again whenever they become good again.
Yeah, I've said for years I hope they would get D'Amico Ryans. They finally got him. They're finally getting rid of everything that Bill O'Brien brought to the city. I'm a huge fan of my city. I love the Astros. I want to say I love the Rockets, but I don't even watch basketball. So, but I would love to be a Texans fan again. But you know they did me wrong.
Dude, it hurts your feelings.
It does.
It really did. How you looked?
I know, man. Like it hurts. I was a huge Texans fan when they were awful. Like watching Derek Carr David Carr, whichever one he was, get sacked over and over and over. Like the guy spent 90% of his NFL career on his back.
Speaking of that, do you think that David Carr was a shitty quarterback because he was just shitty in the NFL, or do you think because he was on a new team, or what do they call it?
You try to do your job. You try to do your job laying on your back.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you probably could. But.
Yeah, I can do my job in any position, bro. Any position.
No, he was a product of the system that he was brought into. Like,
he had no O-line.
It was an expansion team.
Yeah, they.
Yeah, I
mean,
20 years
God, who?
Yeah, but the players you had were terrible.
Oh my God, my mind's blank. Yeah. Who was the guy they drafted first in the expansion draft?
Derek Carr.
No, he was in the draft.
Oh,
the expansion draft.
Talking about like the year Reggie Bush and
no, he's talking about the expansion draft where you pick from other teams.
Yeah. So each team protects like so many players, and then you get to pick people, so you don't start with nothing but rookies and free agents. Their very first pick was a stud offensive lineman, and he went to the Hall of Fame, and he retired before he played a snap. And, that obviously hurt David Carr. Like, he had nobody protect his blind side. As a rookie, he was just thrown to the wolves. And, he lost his confidence like 6 games in. And I think if he was drafted by a good team, a good coach, he could have had a good NFL career.
The best moment of his life was being the Cowboys week 1.
Dude, that was I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
And that's probably the reason why we're here today. And you loving the Texans so much. It was that day.
Well, I'm just a homer, man. Anything Houston. Like, I just love, like you said, I love my city.
Yeah.
So.
No, and I am too. I will rep the H forever. But what Bill O'Brien did to this team and to the fans is
I gave him chance after chance.
I remember the day. Like, so every year they would do something just catastrophically wrong.
Right.
And Ray would send a text and say, like, all right, I'm done. And then, like, finally, it was like, okay, guys, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Screw this organization for what they're doing to us.
Yeah, when they traded DeAndre Hopkins for a bag of cookies, I was like...
Yeah.
Well, and it was like every year you get excited about the new season, and then the first game of the year, it'd be the same shit.
I don't even care if they're bad. It's fine that they're bad.
Yeah.
It's the mistakes they make over and over and over.
Every organization will go through a rebuilding time. Like, this was just... not only a fire sale, but just a complete...
No, but it wasn't even a rebuild for them.
That's what I'm saying.
They were just mediocre for a long time, and I was fine with that. I was fine with maybe they'll sneak into the playoffs. They won't win any games. Maybe they'll win one. They'll beat the Browns. But
what was it 3 years ago? We were leading the Chiefs by like 3 or 4 touchdowns in the first half.
Every time
for a chance to go to the AFC Championship, and you just started to feel like, as it got closer.
No, I knew they had no chance.
You knew they were going to lose, right?
100%.
Like, a true Texans fan.
I think they were down at halftime.
No, they were only up by like 3 or something, or it was tied or something.
Yeah, but I mean, in the second, to start the second quarter, they scored a touchdown right away in the second quarter, and they were up like 3 scores.
Yeah,
and you're so like, no, they're not going to win this game. They're just going to break my heart again.
Yeah. You knew it too.
Yeah, just
like you told yourself, it happened. Oh man. Anyway, but we talked a little bit before we started recording though that you're still not sold on Nick Caserio. The Texans draft or the NFL draft is coming up this Thursday. Texans obviously have the number 2 pick, number 12 pick. Do you think though? Have you seen a difference in how Caserio is acting since they hired D'Amico Ryans?
Well, first off, they should have the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
But let's get past that.
That is, I can't get past that.
I mean, that shows how bad their organization was.
Well,
they tried to lose and they won.
If Lovey,
well, they didn't really try to lose though.
Final act,
I know, and Brandon Cooks came out and he was like, "Listen, when you're on the field, you try to win.
Yeah.
Nobody goes out
Brandon
there.
Cooks should not have been on the field that last week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the point. They should. And, these guys are playing for contracts. They're playing for millions of dollars.
Right.
If Lovie Smith's like, look, you're not playing today because we need to lose this game.
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks could have lost his mind. He already hated the Texans franchise. So, I totally agree. You don't go out there and you try to lose. But
How many games did he sit though
needed
leading up to that game though?
How great was the Colts team? They didn't want them to have the first pick, and they literally ran away from the ball.
Yeah.
On that 4th and 20 play.
Yeah.
that ball was in the air, and they scattered. They were like, "Nope, go for it." And you know what? We'll lay down for the 2-point conversion.
Right.
I hope you win.
Yeah, and
Which
not
also
only did
costs-
it knock the Texans out of the first, it moved them up from like 9 to 4 or 5, wherever they're picking
And
up.
a complete side note that has nothing to do with the draft or anything like that, but cost a guy like $2.5 million in the circa survivor pool.
Yeah. I saw that video.
And literally a must-lose situation. Like
He was saying at the top of the Circa Sportsbook, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally a game that they cannot win. Yeah. He has the biggest lock of history.
Yeah.
And a 4th and 20 miracle play. Again, they just ran away from the ball. It's incredible.
Heartbreaking.
All of it's incredible. Like I can't believe these words are coming. This is like draft day.
I know, but look, I mean,
it's a
it's
movie
like
that
a
makes no
double-edged
sense.
sword, though. Like you say, like you should try to lose that game or do it if you have to lose that game, but that also
The front office needs to lose, not the players.
right.
The players have to try to win.
They're
the
always
thing
going
is,
to.
Davis Mills
But
doesn't know
even
how
as
to
a
win.
front office, though, I mean, you don't think that insults the integrity of the game, even as a
it
front
does.
office employee.
Of course it does.
Of course it does. The Dallas Mavericks just got fined $750,000 for tanking at the end of the playoffs.
Yeah,
And then Cuban decided to donate another $750,000 to charity and said, "Yeah, we did that." But sometimes you have to think.
I
about
could
the
just
future.
take either side. Like I could see why somebody would in the front office would want to tank for the number 1 pick, and then also why you wouldn't do it. I'm good with either way.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it. But anyways, that's neither
GMs
here nor
have to
there
keep their
anymore.
jobs too.
Like we're past that now, I guess.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, honestly, like I haven't been following Texans draft. I've been out of town a lot, so I haven't listened to like AM radio or anything. So I have no idea how Caserio is approaching the draft. I've been saying all along the Texans need to trade out of 2. And now I'm seeing all these tweets and stuff from like all these Houston guys. Like they're probably going to trade out of 2 now. So, I mean, I think it's great. I'm not a CJ Stroud guy, and it looks like Bryce Young's going number 1. Yeah. I'm not a Bryce Young guy either, but he has there's no quarterback in this draft that I feel like can take the Texans to the next level. Whereas like next year coming out like Caleb Williams, like he, not saying he can move a team to the, by himself, but
And isn't this the year like projected to have the most quarterbacks
Yes.
in the first round? And,
Yeah.
and no
There's like
one.
4.
And there's like
there
no,
might be
5.
5. Hendon Hooker is probably going at the back end.
but there's like no one guy that is like the guy in my opinion. Like,
There's no Andrew Luck. Like
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody
It-
like
it's
Cleveland,
all
yeah.
these people are drafted quarterbacks because they need quarterbacks. It's not, like if it's best player available all the way down the board, a quarterback doesn't go in the top 10.
Yeah.
If everybody is on the draft board and you don't need a position, nobody's taking a quarterback in the top 10. So none of these guys are. But I mean, I really like Bryce Young's upside. He's just so small that he might not be able to do it. So I don't think he's the number 1
I
pick,
don't know.
but he just has to be because Carolina needs it.
Drew Brees, Russell Wilson. I
Yeah.
mean, there's examples of short guys
but
being.
what
Yeah,
about
so two
Kyler
out of
Murray?
two out of 80.
Johnny Manziel.
Well, yeah, I mean.
So 2 out of
what I'm
80
saying
were
is
good.
There are examples of somebody
course.
being his size, being successful.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like if I had to take a quarterback, it would be Bryce Young. Because maybe he does it and he has
probably
the most upside.
consistent in college.
Yeah, I'm not a CJ Stroud guy at all. I think Anthony Richard. I don't think he has it.
The way he played against Georgia, I know it's a 1 game, but I mean, he played.
Yeah,
really
I
nice
mean,
in that game.
and he has a lot of talent. I just don't think he's very smart. And it's the NFL is. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, have you seen how the guy grades out on his tests?
Yeah.
He's. I mean, I know he went to Ohio State. I guess you're supposed to be smart to go there. I don't know, but
Well, Will Levis, have you watched his tapes?
yeah, and I feel like a lot of teams are moving up on him. Like this week.
Yeah. He gives me Josh Allen like type vibes. Like I think he has all the same. I don't know. I feel like I compare him to
strong
Josh
statement
Allen
because Josh Allen he's good, man.
No, I understand, but correct me if I'm wrong. When Josh Allen was coming out of the draft, he was like
No,
a
have you ever seen
quarterback.
picture of him at the combine?
Yeah. Well, I'm saying his physique.
The guy looked like me without a shirt on.
He looks great now.
Yeah. I mean, same thing with Tom Brady. His picture from the combine, these guys, that's why coaching's so important. They get to the pros and they get the right system, the right coaches, and they could do things.
Right.
So
clearly you're a young guy over Stroud.
yeah, but
you're the
I
GM.
really think Carolina's taking him, and the betting markets have shown too. Bryce Young's gone to like 10-1 to go number one. So
Jeez.
yeah.
That's what makes NFL draft so fun, is because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
You've
2
seen
weeks
so
ago,
many
C.J.
players.
Stroud was like 8-1 to go number one.
Yeah.
And now it's Bryce Young. So, and a lot of that had to do with I don't remember what the test is. It's not the Wonderlic. It's the other test they do. He scored in like the 13th percentile.
Really?
And it was like all common sense questions. It wasn't
Stroud
like an
did?
IQ test. Yes, Stroud did. And it was like, all right, well, if he doesn't know these simple things, but Stroud's also a guy that's like really hungry, and like he was raised by his mom. His dad spent his entire life in prison. He's a guy that
He's gonna work hard. Yeah.
and he's gonna like want to prove everybody wrong.
Chip on
And,
his shoulder.
yeah, whereas Bryce Young came from a much better upbringing and a rich family, and you saw that with Johnny Manziel. He made the pros and was like, I don't need the money. I want to party. I want to party and smash girls.
Yeah.
He had options. Manziel had options.
But I mean, I do think it'd be interesting if they did draft Stroud and then at 12 draft Jackson Ngegbu, whatever. Can't say his name.
Yeah.
The receiver from OSU.
If you had to put your money, if you had to bet on it right now, number 2, who are the Texans taking? Are they trading out? Or are they?
No, I think they draft Will Anderson.
You do?
Yeah, D'Amico Ryans is an Alabama guy. Go with the Alabama guy.
I'm going to go. I mean, I know we have a whole new front office.
This is assuming Bryce Young's gone.
Yeah.
If Bryce Young's there, they take Bryce. They're going to draft an Alabama guy. How about that?
Okay.
I really feel like it's going to be C.J. Stroud, and I'm going to hate it. But I think it's like just my own.
I honestly
think-
won't hate it if they draft him either.
I actually don't
think-
mind Davis Mills at all. Like,
I
he
do.
hasn't been given a chance. Like, it's like we just talked about.
But he
Carr.
does have the pedigree. And I know there's a lot of guys that come in
He
without a
hasn't
pedigree
really had
that
a
are
creative
good.
offensive coordinator or mind to really work with
Yeah,
him.
but
he had two-
he was never supposed to. And I know
he's a project.
Tom Brady was never supposed to be good either. Brock Purdy was never supposed to be good. Davis Mills was never supposed to be more than just a backup.
Yeah.
But I
haven't
he has
seen anything.
flashes of like just not being bad.
Yeah, I mean he's still a top
Well,
50 quarterback
I
in the
think he's
entire
he's a
world.
solid backup.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
I don't think he's a Super Bowl caliber quarterback.
no, he's not a playoff caliber
Be a
quarterback.
Super Bowl caliber team.
Yeah.
But I mean, D'Amico Ryans comes from a system where he doesn't need, like Brock Purdy just took that team almost to the Super Bowl. He doesn't need a guy that's going to sling the ball. He doesn't need Aaron Rodgers or he just needs
He's
a
gonna
game
build
manager.
a powerful defense,
Exactly.
chemistry defense,
And I think that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna draft Will Anderson. Don't know what they're gonna do at 12. And
what do you think? So you think they're going to go C.J. Stroud? You think they go Will Anderson? What do you think? What do you think if they went? I like Will Anderson at number 2 because we need pass rushers. We don't have any.
Right.
And then if we can steal Levis or something at 12,
yeah, if they
I'm
could,
down
if
with
they
that.
could keep the games close and
Yeah, if you
I'm
get
really
Anderson,
with that.
I don't
just
think
that-
You don't
I don't
think
think
Levis-
Will.
He's not gonna
I
get
don't
to
think
12.
Will Levis
You don't
goes
think
to
he's
12.
gonna be there?
No, I don't think Anthony Richardson will make 12.
think
There's
Vegas
too
or
many
somebody else is gonna
quarterbacks.
take
I
him?
mean, there's too many teams that need a quarterback in the top 10.
How many wins do you think the Texans are going to have this year?
7, 8.
I mean, I know the draft hasn't happened yet, so it's really hard
I think
to
based on
look
what they
at
did in free agency, I think they had one of the best free agencies they've had in
So
a
where do
long
you
time.
think they're going to draft next year?
Well, it's because they're spending money now.
Yeah.
Like-
Next year, I think they're going to be probably somewhere in the middle pack. Between 10 and 15, maybe.
Okay. So if you think that they're going to be in the middle of the draft next year, do you think that they need to draft a quarterback this year at 2?
Yeah.
I think what they need to
Or
do.
at least 2 or 12, if somebody's, or move up from 12. I don't know.
Well, so
I
the
do think if
Raiders.
you wait to get a quarterback next year, you're just prolonging your rebuild again, even a year longer.
The Raiders are saying they really love C.J. Stroud. I really think the Texans, and I think the Raiders have 7, it might be 8. I really think the Texans need to trade back, give the Raiders to trade, get their 7, and maybe their first pick next year. We all seen what the Raiders have done when they love a player.
Yeah.
Like-
You also have to remember
ain't
that. You also have to remember though.
Jamarcus Russell,
That
come
was
on.
the funniest
The
thing.
Texans have a lot of draft capital, so even next year, if they're picking 12, I mean, they have
They have Cleveland's.
assets.
They have Cleveland's number one
They can
pick
always,
next year
if they
too,
have somebody
right?
that they love, they have assets to be able to move
Right.
up.
So my point is there's not one quarterback this year's draft that is so above and beyond that you just is going to be your guy that you think in the future. So I don't see why not draft pass rushers, build that defense, all that kind of stuff. Let Davis Mills go out there this year, get their 4 to 6 wins or whatever it is in this horrible division, and then get their guy next year.
Well, if you look
But
at
they
the,
could
but,
even-
but look at the defense last year. The defense wasn't terrible last year. Weren't they like a top?
I mean,
They were a
so
top
so a lot
32
of
defense.
but
28
here's the
and
thing.
I
Here's
No,
the thing. When
we
teams
need-
get a big lead on the Texans, they become one dimensional. They start running the ball, and the Texans aren't putting up a lot of points.
They had trouble stopping
So
the run.
stats mean nothing. Because a lot of times, like those teams to start running the ball, they're not trying to score. If the Texans are putting up 28 points a game, what these teams are playing against are going to put up 35, 40 points a game. Whereas the Texans were scoring 10, so they're like, we don't need to. We scored 20, we win.
I just think that they do need some playmakers though, man.
They do.
We don't have any
It's-
who's our best. I mean, Damian Pierce is our best player on the team right now.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Damian Pierce is a stud.
I love Damian Pierce,
Like,
but
that's.
I love Damian Pierce too, but I mean, he's not even a top 10 back in the league. I really like that they brought in Devin Singletary.
he was number 7 in rushing before he got hurt
Yeah, I mean,
on a shitty offense.
yeah, but I mean, he was like all they
But I
had.
don't think he's I don't think he's going to be like. He's not going to be like a featured back for the next 5. I think he's a part of like a 2-headed monster type.
Yeah, and that's
system.
what Devin Singletary
Yeah.
comes from. I mean,
Yeah.
look at all the backs they had in San
He's such
Francisco.
an angry runner too. Like
Say an angry runner.
he won angry run of the year. Whenever he bulldozed over those Jaguars players, the team.
How can anybody but Derrick Henry ever win Angry Run of the Year?
Because do you go look it up?
I know the run.
Derrick Henry has a history of stiff arming
I'm sure he's
people
won it
into
before.
another dimension.
I'm sure he's won it before.
He needs to win it every year.
Oh my God!
No,
Not
that
to go
run-
off topic, but is Derrick Henry really going to the Eagles? Is that really happening?
I mean,
That is absurd.
I don't think the Eagles need running
Where's
backs.
Rodgers
but
going?
San
He's
Francisco.
Yeah, but he's not going to the Jets anymore.
He's going to
Chris
San
is a
Francisco.
big Green Bay fan.
I'm a huge.
He's
Green Bay
gonna.
fan, and I'm
That's gonna be a
also-
big fu.
I'm also a giant Aaron Rodgers truther. Like,
All right.
I've thought that he is the most accurate passing quarterback of all time. That I've said that for years.
I just thought he would have won more Super Bowls by now.
Me too.
All right, how about this?
He needs to
Aaron
win at least
Rodgers
one
goes to
more.
San Francisco. The Texans trade their 33rd pick. They get Trey Lance.
I don't know.
They draft Will
We haven't seen
Anderson at
enough of Trey
2.
Lance yet to really know what he's going to be.
They draft. Okay, I mean he was like a top pick. I don't remember
No,
exactly.
I know. I understand. I was actually big on
he
him
was
coming out
he
of
was
college.
good until he got hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't trade the 33rd pick for him, but you think
Yes,
it's
I
okay.
would. Yes, I would.
Okay, would you rather them draft or trade the 33rd pick for Trey Lance or draft C.J. Stroud at 2?
Trey Lance.
They
But
trade Lance for 33, draft Will Anderson at 2, draft Jackson, whatever his last name is, the receiver out of Ohio State at 12. And I mean, they got weapons now.
Yeah.
They have
Singletary and
two,
Pierce in
two
the
running
backfield.
backs.
Yeah.
They have Nico Collins, who he's a below average too, but he could get the job
He has
done.
potential.
And I
does
love
have
all
potential.
this. And I love all this because I can root for Aaron Rodgers in San Francisco. It's gonna be hard for me to root for him in a Jets uniform.
Oh,
I
and
mean,
you know
but
what?
Trey
You
Lance
guys-
might not even start in San Francisco if he doesn't go there. You know, it might be Brock
100%.
Purdy.
I'm having a brain fart now on the receiver that the Texans drafted last year that got cancer.
Yeah, he'll be back too.
Yeah, and he was a second round pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Alabama from Alabama. Like he's going to be a
Yeah,
slot. What is his name?
Jalen something.
I'm excited about him coming back. They said he's ready to go for going to be ready.
And then they got the tight end.
So if you get a receiver at 12, you bring in Trey Lance and you draft Will Anderson.
They might not even need a receiver at 12. They can.
Yeah, they have so much and they have,
That's what I'm saying.
They
They could just keep trading back and
have 3
stockpile
picks in the
picks.
top 33, but they also have a bunch of picks they have multiple picks in the second round, don't they?
Yeah. They have not in the second round,
Or the third.
Yeah.
They maybe have 2 or 3 in the third.
but
They have like 11 or 12 picks for the draft.
yeah. I mean, I really think
This
it would
team
make
can turn around
sense.
pretty quickly.
It
They
would
get a
make sense if
quarterback,
D'Amico
bro.
Ryans likes Trey Lance because he
hating,
was
bro.
there.
I'm gonna keep hating. This seems like a perfect time to make a bet.
Let's make
If they get Trey Lance, they draft Will Anderson, they draft a receiver at 12, they're still an under 500 team. That's the thing.
This team, no matter
Not in
what
that
they draft,
division.
cannot.
Not with D'Amico as head coach.
They cannot win 8 games.
Dude, I disagree. I think they can.
Well, they
don't
can.
know.
Yeah, we could go out
Yeah.
and
I think they
beat
can win
up 2 more people
9
and beat
games.
the Rockets in a game once out of 1,000 times.
No, we
It
can't.
just depends on what happens in the draft for me. Like, we'll see what happens.
You can make a hole in one too.
Of course.
Yeah, anything can.
Have you ever made one?
No, I haven't.
I'll never make one. I
But
made
you
one on Golden
can.
Tee one
But you
time.
can. You have potential.
Yeah.
Yeah, potential.
But
Inside
come on,
jokes are
let's.
very good podcast.
No, I think they're moving. I think the organization as a whole is moving in the right direction, and they're starting to make good decisions.
Yes, that is a 100% accurate statement because previously it not only has moved in the wrong direction, it has set itself on fire.
Yeah.
So like anything is going up from here, but they are making great.
I think
stride
Green Bay
improvements.
is moving in the direction that the Texans are moving, and the Texans are moving in the opposite direction.
So
I don't know. Jordan Love, I think he's gonna be fine.
yeah, but he has no weapons or
Yeah,
anything.
he
either.
has no weapons.
But Green Bay will go out
Well,
and draft
for-
a receiver in the first round just to
Just
give
to piss me
Rodgers a
off.
middle
Yeah,
finger.
Yeah, on the way out. Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, it kind of makes sense. Like the reason Green Bay didn't, they're like, look, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have to have a receiver; he can hit anybody. And they're like, look, Jordan Love needs us for his development.
I mean,
so it would
that's
make
fair.
sense.
Do
Like,
y'all know how many offensive players the Packers have drafted in the first round, specialty guys, in the Rodgers era?
No.
Take a guess. Like we're talking about receivers, skill players,
running backs, receivers in the first round
tight ends,
in the Rodgers era.
In the
What has he
Rodgers
been there
era.
for what 15, 16 years, something like that.
some like longer, I think.
I'm going
18
to
years.
say 4 or 5.
The answer is 2.
Oh wow.
One of them's a tight end, the other one's Jordan Love. I was driving home from a draft party the year that Jordan Love got drafted, and I missed the Packers pick, and Ray texted me. He goes, "Congratulations on drafting Love," and I said, "Love who?" Because it's obviously not Jordan Love.
Yeah.
It just can't be.
Yeah,
And he goes, "No, they just drafted Jordan Love."
Wow.
And I almost wrecked my car because there was no way. I mean, he was in his prime.
Well, it's time for him to play or be given another opportunity somewhere else.
yeah, they should have traded home for weapons a long time ago.
100%.
Anyways, thank you guys for joining me today for a little bit to talk about the draft. Where you guys watching the draft at?
What day is it? Thursday?
Thursday, yeah.
I don't know. It's a good time to plug somewhere. Where should we go?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different choices, but if you want seafood while you watch
I
the
love
draft,
seafood.
like gumbo, crawfish, oysters,
Hold on, can I guess what we're
crab
gonna,
legs?
Can I guess where we're gonna go?
Sure.
Is it Captain Brad's?
Captain Brad's,
All
baby.
right.
Best
I love
seafood.
me some Captain
I
Brad's.
do love that place. That place is the truth.
I was there yesterday for Bill for a Purpose for Boots for Troops. But yeah, Brittany, her team, Captain Brad's, great restaurant.
I've seen Lindsay walking out with to-go food probably 4 or 5 different times. When I'm walking in to go sit down, she's like walking out with to-go food. She's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Coming to eat."
She probably goes more than me, no doubt about it. But I go every chance I get, I go. So shout out to Captain Brad's. Also, when we come back from commercial break, we're going to have NFL insider Aaron Wilson join us. He's going to call into the show and talk NFL draft, Texans, and what it's like to be an NFL insider this close to the draft.
Are you looking to repair the interior of your boat, car, RV, or household furnishings? Is the canvas on your boat in need of repair or replacement? Is the carpet on your boat getting a little worn? Look no further than BB Custom Upholstery, located in Montgomery, Texas. BB Custom Upholstery specializes in high-end, high-quality vinyl, leather, canvas, and carpet, and we work with you on the design of your custom project. With over 50 years of industry experience, the staff at BB Custom has what it takes to work with you to ensure that your project meets or exceeds all of your expectations. Have you had projects done in the past and found that the material faded or the stitching started coming loose? BB Custom Upholstery uses nothing but the finest materials available to ensure the long life of your custom job. Contact BB Custom Upholstery today at 936-448-8240 or check us out on the web at bbcustomupholstery.com. He'll be glad you did.
Today's guest on the Sailor Jimmy podcast is Aaron Wilson, who's a Texans NFL reporter for KPRC, Channel 2, Sports Talk Radio 790. He has covered the NFL for over 20 years, including stints at the Houston Chronicle and Baltimore Sun. Today's guest is brought to you by B&B Custom Upholstery. If you're looking to repair the interior of your boat, car, RV, or household furnishings, look no further than B&B Custom Upholstery, located in Montgomery, Texas. Aaron, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Hey, man, first question for you. What have you been up to? I know it's the NFL offseason, but you got to be staying busy with free agency that just passed, the draft's coming up. Obviously, D'Amico Ryans, you said, had a press conference this morning, but other than that, what have you been up to?
You're right. It's very busy with first they had the hiring of the coach. So that was a long process, right? So then after they hire the coach, it's about the coaching staff. So that was another process. Then they had the scouting combine and cover that and a lot of content with the scouting combine. Pretty quickly, we're into free agency. That was another whirlwind of activity as they added over 16 new players and did some deals with players that are coming back. So after that wound down, then we had the owners meeting. So I was in Phoenix, Arizona for that. So meeting with D'Amico Ryans, meeting with Cal McNair, Hannah McNair, so talking with the ownership group. And then now we have the off-season program and the NFL draft. So the NFL off-season is a really busy, demanding schedule. We have visits, we have workouts, we have content like today's press conference with D'Amico Ryans. So we have a lot of coverage at Channel 2 and at 790 about the comments he's made about John Mechie and about the meeting with the team and about the quarterback position and the number 2 overall pick. So, yeah, absolutely. Very busy time and a good kind of busy, though.
Right. So let's talk a little more about free agency. I saw a report that somebody had, I can't remember who it was, but said that the Texans were the most improved team in NFL free agency this offseason. What are your thoughts on the free agency for the Texans and how Nick did? And what's the talk that you're hearing around the league about how the Texans performed in free agency?
I mean, I thought it was solid what they did. I thought they filled some holes that now they don't have to go into the draft and only draft for need. I think that they can draft players that they consider the highest ranked players on the board. And that's what you always want to do when you're making selections, whether it's free agency and especially the draft. You want to be able to draft the best available player. And if you're missing so many positions, like you need a running back, you need a tight end, you need a left tackle, you need a center, you need all these spots, you need quarterback. What about defensive end? But you could say right now they need a starting quarterback. They need, they have Jerry Hughes and John Grenard, so they can line up a defensive end, but they obviously need help there, for an edge rusher. They could probably use a younger safety to go with Jimmy Ward and Jalen Petrie. I think they're going to need another corner at some point. They need younger tight ends. They definitely need interior line, center position specifically. Trading for Shaq Mason kind of made it a little bit less urgent there in the middle. But, quarterback, it always starts with that. That's the most all-important position. Right now you've got Case Keenum and Davis Mills. So you can line up. You're just not going to be very, in my opinion, very competitive that way. You're going to have to think about the future. But when I look at, some of the things they did in free agency, they filled some holes. Interior defensive line. Now you have Sheldon Rankins and Hassan Ridgeway. To go with Malik Collins and Roy Lopez, it looks a little bit better. And I think that's an important thing.
No, I think Nick did a great job in free agency. I think we definitely improved as a team. I guess my two favorite pickups would probably be Ward and Singletary. I think Singletary, along with Damian Pierce in the backfield, you've got a solid backfield going into the upcoming season. The draft's coming up. We're a few weeks away. As we know, all Texans fans know that we really need a quarterback. What is your prediction as far as the Texans in that number 2 pick? Do you think they go quarterback? Do you think they wait another year, give Davis Mills another shot? What are your thoughts on that number 2 pick?
I think they'll draft a quarterback in all likelihood. It depends a little bit if Bryce Young is gone. Do they still want to draft a quarterback and go C.J. Stroud, or do they want to move out of the spot, or do they want to draft Will Anderson? Will Anderson, I believe, is the highest graded player consensus with all the teams, graded higher than the quarterback, but the value of the quarterback position obviously it overrides the value of the edge rusher generally for most teams. How they look at their roster, Jimmy. So, yeah, I think especially if the Panthers pick C.J. Stroud, which the Texans would be happy if they did that, then they would turn in the card for Bryce Young. It just becomes more of a wild card situation if Bryce Young is off of the board and you have to make a decision between C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson, or trade back.
Right. That's what makes draft night so fun and exciting is you really just don't know what's going to happen. How many times have we seen the draft and players fall all the way to the second round, that's what makes the NFL so fun and exciting, and I think everybody's looking forward to the draft. So quick story about you and I wanted to talk about this on the show real quick. Is I've been lucky enough to become pretty good friends with Texans running back Damian Pierce, and I think it was maybe a year and a half ago. You gave me a call. Damian had just got drafted. It was around this time last year, I guess, maybe a little later in the year. But right after the draft, you called and said that Damian was coming to Houston. He was looking to partner with a dealership, and you connected Damian and I. So Damian's been a great help in the community with Boots for Troops, my charity, and just an all-around great dude, and obviously a great football player. So I wanted to thank you for that, and then also get your thoughts on Damian Pierce, his offseason. What are you hearing? Have you spoke to him? And what are your thoughts on his season 2 in the NFL?
Right, yeah. I think Damian had an outstanding rookie season, and as you know, he's a great young man. And Damian was able to be a Pro Bowl alternate, and I think he would have been a Pro Bowl selection if he hadn't injured his foot and ankle in the Dallas game. So when that happened, it made sense to eventually put him on injured reserve. Maybe he could have played in the last game, maybe, and there was nothing at stake. So I thought it made sense for the Texans to shut him down. And now the future is very bright. They just have to be careful with him. I think it was smart for them to get Devin Singletary so they don't wear out Damian. I think, looking at what he did last year, I think it just scratched the surface of what he's capable of. And I feel like, he can be one of the best running backs in the NFL. That's his goal. And I had a chance to speak with him at the dealership, and a great time with him out there. And he was really great with the fans that day. It was a fan appearance, and he was signing some autographs and interacting with all the great people out there at the dealership and you. And then he did another appearance that day, signing some autographs at TriStar. So he was meeting a lot of fans, and he's a fan favorite. So, yeah, he's very popular, and I think the Texans recognize that, and they've been wanting to do more with him, and I would expect them to promote him, in any commercials, maybe some tickets, things like that, that they put out, things on their media with their website, etc., any digital content, videos, things like that. So, they've really got something with Damian. And that was a great draft pick by Nick Caserio to get him in the 4th round. After he wasn't really used enough with the Gators, but in a way that's the blessing in disguise for the Texans because he was a fresher, healthier running back than in the draft. Some players are really worn out, by the time they get to the NFL. So, yeah, I think the future is very bright. He's already accomplished a lot. There's even more in front of him for Dameon Pierce. So, yeah, absolutely.
No doubt about it. And, I asked him last year during the season, I sent him a text and I said, hey, man, will you consider wearing boots for troops for my cleats, my cause? And he didn't answer me. So I was like, okay, well, at least I tried. Well, come game day, I'm looking on the My Cleats, My Cause rundown of which players are wearing which cleats for which causes. And sure enough, there it is, Dameon Pierce wearing boots for troops cleats during the game. He just wanted to surprise me. So that just kind of show you what kind of dude he is, man. He's just a really all-around great guy. Been around him plenty of times, and so have you. And just a great pick by Nick Caserio, not only for the team, but for the community.
Absolutely, yeah. Couldn't agree more with those sentiments and statements. I think Dameon is a real breath of fresh air for everyone. And from the first day they drafted him, you could just see very genuine, infectious personality and someone that people like being around. And for someone that's very talented, he's also very humble. And I think that people gravitate toward that. And he's just very honest. And, as they say, he keeps it real. He does not, hide his feelings, his emotions, and you see those on the field. And one thing I noticed about him, I remember the Derrick Henry game. They were playing the Titans, and he wanted to talk to Derrick, and it was important to him to kind of soak up a little knowledge, gain some mentoring from being around Derrick, who's one of the best running backs in the division and the whole league. And so they had a conversation, and what I sense from him is a real eagerness to learn and to grow in all ways, but never to forget where he came from humble roots in Georgia, from small town, and as he'll tell you, he's a country boy, and he's not going to change, and he shouldn't. He's just, someone that I feel like he has a small inner circle, with his agent, with his family, with those in the community that he's met and become friends with, and his dogs, and that's Dameon. And what you see is what you get with him.
No doubt about it. And he's pledged to come out again to the Boots for Troops Gala June 3rd at Margaritaville in Conroe, Texas. So, yeah, man, I could spend a long time talking about Dameon Pierce and how excited we are to have him on the team. But also he fits the culture, right, for what D'Amico is trying to do. So just tough, aggressive, just hardworking football players. And I think that's what D'Amico wants and what he likes. So I feel like Dameon's perfect for this, the new head coach. Speaking of the new head coach, you said earlier you got a chance to talk to him. What are your thoughts on the job D'Amico has done so far since he's been hired? And what kind of team can we expect as Texans fans, in your opinion, moving forward into the next season?
Well, I think you expect a lot of energy, you expect leadership. You can expect someone that's a good person and cares about the players, cares about community. And he hasn't changed from his playing days. He's the same type of person. Just learn and gain more knowledge over the years and learned how to be a coach. And he was architect of the top-ranked defense in the NFL last season with the 49ers. He's very well prepared for this. And this week was his chance to talk to the entire team. He's talked individually with a lot of players. He's gotten to meet some of them and start building a relationship. And this was his day to set the tone for what he wants the team to be like. And as we ring off, I'm going to finish writing some articles about what he was talking about today. But, yeah, it's absolutely a great start for him. And the results, we'll see more, when the season starts. But this is when you put in your plan, what you're about, and it's a really good start for him. And I think it's only going to be up from here. And look for them to be more and more competitive in the next couple of years with D'Amico Ryans at the controls.
Awesome, man. I hope so. I mean, I think the fans already feel it. We already feel a change in culture, and I feel like something special is on the horizon. Anyways, Aaron, last question for you, then we'll get you out of here. Thank you for taking the time again. What's it like being an NFL insider? Tell the people out there what's a day like for you, especially at a busy time like this. Your phone's ringing and
it's really busy. A lot of times, I try to make sure I keep it fun and tell myself many times a day I can only do one thing at a time. So whether that's this conversation, which I'm grateful to have, or to report some visits or workouts or contract terms, or pass on some quotes, or do a television interview with Randy McElvoy and Chancellor from KPRC, all those things already, and then I still have more to do. So I'm always thinking about, what am I doing now? What do I need to do next? And I write myself lists, and at the end of the day, most of those things, get done. Not everything gets done every time, but that's just, it's a lot of juggling, and I just try to be as present as I can for every moment that I'm in. Sure. I would say it's demanding. It is fun. I'm privileged and blessed to do it, but at the same time, it's hectic. And so, what does that create? It's all about managing your stress. And you got to take a deep breath sometimes. You got to say, well, what do I need to do right now? What can I do next? And when do I have to say, well, I'm overbooked, or I can't do enough, or I think when we set this up, I didn't know what they would be doing, if it would be on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, if they'd have any press conference. So yesterday was when I found out, and then I was sort of thinking, well, I'll be done by this time and all that sort of stuff. And then I get a phone call, and right before we were ring on, and I was just finishing that call, and with a sports agent, I represent NFL players. So yeah, it's just always busy, but that's what it is. You kind of know what you're getting yourself into. And I've been doing it a long time, but at the same time, it never really gets any easier or simpler. It's always, what's the next story? And this league doesn't really slow down ever. It's always something happening. So like Devin White is asked to be traded from the Buccaneers. That's interesting. There's over the weekend, Odell Beckham signed with the Ravens for a big contract, and Texans, a lot of intrigue about what are they going to do with the draft. But yeah, I think it's fun, and being an insider, it's trust that people have in me, a lot of relationships. It's just knowing a lot of people, and then dealing with all those people in a good manner, and making new relationships too. You always have to meet more people and network, and
Are you living your dream job?
I think so. I think what I'm doing, I think it can always be better. There's always more you can do. There's always, opportunities. But I love the opportunities I have right now. I'm real happy with everyone I work with. And, I've had other positions before. Maybe, I like some things about it, but I didn't like everything about it. I think that's true for most people in any profession and their job. And you look at some things and you try to appreciate what was the best thing about this position or these people that you work with before. And sometimes you won't think, and I guess out of this attitude, what's your perspective? How positive are you about this thing, or does that one thing make it less good? I don't know. I think I tend to be a half full, glass half full type of person. And I think that's the easiest way for me to be in that space. But sometimes I'll say, what, this thing was disappointing, or that story, I should have had that, but generally I tend to, I'm like a football coach. I tend to dwell on those stories I don't get. People will think, well, you always get all these stories. What about, you got a million stories. You can never have enough. You have to stay hungry. And I think you got to be ambitious, and you got to have a plan. It's not enough just to work hard. You got to work smart. So you got to really be strategic about everything you do.
I love it. Well, hey, do you have any breaking news you want to break right here on the Sailor Jimmy podcast?
I put out something a little while ago about Zach Evans and like typical visits and workouts. The Texans are going to very soon meet with Bryce Young, so that's coming up here, and this is something we already knew they would do. So there's like breaking news. I think There are some. One thing I can tell you about the first pick is there's sort of a lean in the Panthers building towards Bryce Young, but Frank Reich likes C.J. Stroud. So it's going to be interesting to see, does Frank get the call? Does he make the pick, or does he feel some pressure like, hey, everybody else kind of wants Bryce, maybe I should go that way? And that's the thing. It's going to ultimately come down to, because the Texans don't have the first pick, what they're going to do with it.
Right. Well, all this is good stuff, man. Again, thanks for taking the time today to hang out with us. We really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right, very good. Talk to you soon.
All right, bye. And let me tell you all real quick about my friends over at Guns of Texas. Mark Evans, owner, he's been a partner with me in many years with different events and stuff with his bar called Brewski's. But he also owns a gun store called Guns of Texas. It's off the Beltway 8 in Gessner in the Houston area. They're a locally owned gun store. Friendly staff can help you with all your firearm-related questions and needs. They carry multiple brands and can special order items. Firearms, tactical gear, and accessories is their specialty. For the next month, or actually I think through May, any customer who mentions the code word Boots for Troops when purchasing any firearm from Guns of Texas, they will donate $25 to the charity. So head over to Guns of Texas, check them out, check out their storefront, and if you're in need of a new firearm, go get you your new firearm while supporting Boots for Troops.